Awareness, awareness, awareness. If you're walking down the street and you got your face planted in your phone and your awareness is watching some funny, comical meme on Instagram, and all of a sudden someone jumps out of nowhere and attacks you, then your awareness was actually switched off. We talk about that a lot in self defense, and we talk about awareness, but today it's going to be different. Today's topic is awareness shapes your reality. This is Mario Leone, the Voices of Victory channel, and I'm here to tell you your awareness has all to do with your reality. You could look at your awareness as how much you're aware to. That's the most important key here. Small awareness equals small choices. Big awareness equals big choices. Sometimes you'll be dealt with only two choices, but your awareness could open up to what is possible with choice number one, what is possible with choice number two. So you have to understand it's not that people are always having difficulty. It's having the difficulty in how they actually see things, because your awareness shapes your reality. Now, how does this work? Literally, well, your brain filters reality. We all have schemas and mental recipes in our life, and your brain doesn't show you everything. It filters. It filters things based on your attention, your habits, and your emotions. Two people can see the world differently because of it. Now, the difference is what they actually notice. That being said, let's look at what small awareness looks like. When people are not aware of things or their awareness is very small, they may not be able to see things. So they only see the immediate problem. They miss the other options. They miss the other points of view. So you repeat the same choices over and over again. And you feel like you can't go anywhere. You feel like you're going to be right where you are and that there's no momentum. So it's not about being smart in this case. It's about narrowing the focus in this case. That's why small awareness actually exists. It exists because your focus is very narrow. You're looking in small picture, not big picture. So when big awareness comes in, what does big awareness actually look like? Well, you see more options in any situation. You actually are able to pause and see the value in things before you actually react. You connect to ideas faster because you start to see a bigger picture and you start to spot connections that weren't there before. So you notice what other people actually miss as a result. The bottom line is it's the same world, but it's an entirely different view. Why this actually happens? Well, your brain filters thousands of bits of information every second, every part of your day. And it only lets in a few bits of information into your conscious focus at a time. So it picks what feels familiar or important, but sometimes it doesn't always pick what is possible. That's the difference. Familiar over possible. So everything gets ignored completely. Right? So when you filter things out, if something is possible and you don't ask that question, it will get filtered out. You won't see the option. So you see what your mind is actually trained to see or conditioned to see. So when people feel like they get no momentum, there's no chance of moving forward, what's really happening is the options do exist, but their brain is simply not noticing them. It's not taking noticing of the choices that are available. Sometimes, like I said, you might have only two choices or maybe only one choice, but maybe you're not expanding your view to look at other possibilities. This is about opening your heart, opening your mind to see what's available. Your attention can actually get locked into the drama, locked into the small amount of choices, get locked into the stress, can get locked into the stories, can get locked into the narratives, locked into the past, can lock into old habits as well. So your mind basically tells you this is all that there is. until your heart and mind begins to open up. So the truth about it is that's not reality. That is a limited awareness of reality. Very important. Now, when your awareness expands, it's like looking through a keyhole and only seeing part of what's going on and then opening the entire door. So more possibilities start to appear when you expand your awareness. The paths that you couldn't see before actually become visible to you. The good news about your emotions is the emotions start to slow down a little bit. Because like, oh, wow, I didn't know I can do this, right? So there's a sense of wonder and curiosity as well. So you start to gain some momentum between the whole stimulus and response aspect. And the decisions are no longer automatic anymore. They stop being automatic. You stop reacting every 5 seconds. You start to choose. So this is the actual key shift. This is what's going down. This is when the awareness actually expands. So it's the same situation, different awareness. So someone's in a job they don't like. So the small awareness is, I have no choice. This is it. I'm in this job. I've been in this job for 20 years. I'm not going anywhere. That's small awareness. The big awareness is, I could learn new skills. I could change roles. I can choose another job. I can leave, or I can find a way to pivot. Some leverage is possible if I keep expanding my view of the possibilities. It's not expanding the possibilities, it's expanding the view of them. So your brain becomes sensitized, your awareness increases, you start to see more options. So nothing outside has changed. Only what they've noticed as a person has changed. Now, when it comes down to the psychology of it all, what you actually focus on will shape what you perceive. And repeating focus will strengthen the mental patterns that you have, which is part of your mental recipe or schema of how you view the world. When you get stressed out, your thinking will begin to get smaller and you won't be able to see as much. So when you're stressed, you're frustrated, you lock yourself into a narrative, you start seeing less, and that becomes difficult. But when you become calm, you're able to expand that range of decisions. So what you focus on becomes what feels real or what feels possible. When you start to expand what you feel is possible, then you'll find out that there's options that you didn't explore. So the small versus the big, the small awareness is faster decisions, less overwhelm. So I'm going to make this decision because I don't want to be overwhelmed. Where the cons of it are literally that they feel like they're going nowhere, they feel like they're missing opportunities, and then the patterns just keep repeating. But the big awareness says there's more options, there's better long-term choices, and even though I'm limited on my amount of choices, I haven't really expanded my awareness to encompass all of the things that are possible a year from now or 3 months from now. Now, the con of the big awareness is it can feel overwhelming at first, but it's okay because the way to get around that is really just to slow down and be able to break things down into manageable bite-sized pieces so you can just simply execute. So how do we train our awareness every day? Well, we do have to slow down, and we don't want to be all about our reactions. We have to take a pause and stop. At some point, we have to just stop and breathe and pause. It's okay to ask yourself, what else could this mean? What else is possible here? What are my options down the road? Not just right now. So we can look for a couple options instead of just one. We're not just looking for one thing. What else is available? What else is possible? How can I open my mind up to see what else is possible with this? How can I leverage this situation? Now, another thing you could do, and this is the biggest problem of them all, is some people might maintain small awareness because they're in an environment of small awareness people. So their environment is filled with a lot of small awareness. So it's like, okay, you have to change your environment, and that's going to be really hard for some people because it may be part of the town you live in. But your perspective is a big deal. So there are people you'll know when you're in a small awareness environment when people they say things to they say things to you like, oh, people like us, we don't become authors. If you live in this town, you don't become anything. What makes you think, what gives you the nerve that you think you can do something? This is the small awareness people. So what happens with this is you have to change your environment and even change your perspective and expand how you're looking at the problem. At the end of the day, you're going to have emotional decisions, but you have to slow that down. And if you're looking at the big picture, in order to avoid being overwhelmed, start chunking things down. What is the smallest possible thing that I can do that will impact this big picture aspect? So you don't think your way out of it. You actually train your attention to see options out of it. So I want you to know it's not that you don't have momentum. It's not that you can't move forward. The small awareness connects to the small choices. The big awareness connects to the bigger paths. You can have very small amount of choices, but still be able to think big, think with your awareness, and find 20 things that are possible. You can see this in this famous picture that flies around the internet of the businessman versus the entrepreneur. So the businessman sells watermelons for $3. It's just product for money. I sell the watermelon, I get $3. Whereas the entrepreneur takes those watermelons, he's more resourceful. He says, I'm going to turn this watermelon into dozens of different products. We're going to have watermelon juice, we're going to have freeze-dried watermelon, and we're going to expand it. So that's what it is. If you have resources, how can we take those resources, think bigger, and expand what we can do with it? And that takes putting yourself in the right mentality to ask the right questions. Because the more you train it, the more you will actually see. Reality doesn't change first. Your actual awareness does. Now, don't forget to like and, of course, subscribe and click on the Patreon link below. Mario Leone, Voices of Victory channel, signing off.